I now recognize Ms. Titus for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. I hardly know where to begin, but let me start by saying, as I look at your resume, it is so impressive. We are so honored and pleased to have you here and appreciate what all you've done at the State Department, and worry that if you step down, who will continue this good work within this division and in the department overall. So thank you for that. And you said that the person hasn't been appointed, but do you know who will be following in your footsteps, and how are you leaving a record for them to know what kind of an exit memo, perhaps?
I cannot say. Keep me out of trouble. However, I am leaving behind two incredible things. A fantastic staff who are informed, dedicated, and have helped bring us this far. A superb deputy who will stand in until my successor is named. And I'm leaving behind the entire workforce. Chairman Mast asked me the other day about what I was proud of. And it is that this conversation about what America stands for, about our need to level that playing field so that everyone who wants to serve our country can to the best of their abilities. That conversation is happening in offices and missions around the world. And people are thinking about how to further it, how to ensure that their colleagues can give their best, do their best. And that I leave behind. So it's not a one-woman job.
Oh, well, thank you very much for that. They must be very proud to continue that work and to have worked with you. You know, today's questions are directed to the State Department's Office of Diversity, but this isn't new. You're seeing around the country offices of diversity and inclusion being attacked. You see them in Florida, for example, where universities that have such offices are now going to be denied state funding. This is something that's part of the whole new anti-woke or anti-everything agenda of some of those on the other side. We worked very hard last session to be sure that people with disabilities were included, not only included within the workforce of the State Department, but also in the policy of the State Department, so we could lead by example when we are dealing with other countries. Now the emphasis has shifted to LGBTQ issues. I have the GLOBE Act, which is another attempt to say the State Department needs to be like the people it represents, and it needs to set an example. When people look to us, it's not do as I say, it's do as I do, and I think that's a big improvement. You also said part of modernization was recruitment. I wanted to ask you what your ambassadors in residence are doing, or how your recruitment has expanded to include historical black colleges and minority-serving colleges. We at UNLV, where I taught for 35 years, it's one of the most diverse campuses in the country. We would like to have an ambassador in residence. We'd like to see the State Department there to do recruiting. Could you address that?
Thank you for the question. I know that we have expanded the program a bit. Obviously, it all comes down to funding. I have had the privilege of doing some recruiting myself. Every senior officer, everybody from the department should be doing it whenever we're home, and going down to a community college in Texas and doing it with the diplomat in residence who was from our Diplomatic Security Bureau. And it was fantastic to see her in action and the excitement of the young people, because you don't need a 4-year degree to join the department or even a 2-year degree. So we are doing it. I will also say that there are people like me. When I left the department in 2017, I set up my own diplomat in residence program because I wanted to make sure that we were recruiting to support the organization and to do it in the middle of the country. So I did it in Ohio. So we are figuring out how we can expand that program, but it is very active, very robust, and we're using technology to get to places that we don't have enough people to get to in person.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
You know, part of the GLOBE Act that I mentioned is to make the special envoy for human rights and LGBT rights a legislatively declared and established position. Do you think that would help the State Department both internally and with policy with other countries and helping our own diplomats abroad who have maybe same-sex wives or are feeling discrimination from host countries because of their own policies. And we have seen that certainly even recently with discrimination. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, I would certainly bow to the wisdom of Congress on that. I will say that our special representative, the current one, is doing an amazing job. I have done some programs with her and heard her speak and advocate for what we know in this nation, which is that everybody should have the same rights and privileges and responsibilities. And I've worked with prior ones, so it is an important role.
Well, thank you so much. I yield back.